The billionaire had just raised his wine glass to celebrate the biggest business deal of his life when a young waitress quietly came over to refill his water. As she gently placed the glass back on the table, she slipped a neatly folded napkin under his hand without looking at him. Thinking it was just part of the table setting, he casually picked it up and unfolded it. The moment he read it, the color drained from his face. 6 handwritten words stared back at him. Listen. Fake waiter. Armed. Left side. His heart started pounding. Every instinct told him to look around, but he fought the urge. Across the grand ballroom, camera flashes lit up the room. Soft music played in the background while hundreds of important guests laughed and enjoyed the celebration. None of them had any idea that a few words written on an ordinary napkin had turned a beautiful afternoon into a race against time. If you believe courage is often quiet, kindness can save lives, and everyone deserves hope and a second chance, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs encouragement today, and subscribe to our channel for more emotional stories that remind us what truly matters. 50-year-old billionaire Adrian Whitmore had built one of the biggest clean energy companies in the country. People admired him not only for his success in business but also for his generous heart. He had donated millions to children's hospitals, funded scholarships for struggling students, and supported disaster relief projects whenever communities were in need. That bright afternoon, Adrian was hosting a charity luncheon inside the famous Grand Regent Hotel. Leaders from across the country had gathered to announce a major partnership that would bring electricity to hundreds of rural communities that had lived without reliable power for years. Among the catering staff was a 27-year-old waitress named Hannah Collins. Most of the guests noticed only her warm smile and professional service. Very few knew her story. Hannah had grown up with her father, a retired police detective whose career ended after a serious injury. Instead of reading bedtime stories, he spent evenings teaching her something different. He taught her how to pay attention. He showed her how to notice small details that other people missed, how to remember faces, recognize unusual behavior, and stay calm when everyone else was panicking. He always told her the same thing. Paying attention can save someone's life long before bravery ever gets the chance. At the time, Hannah thought they were simply interesting lessons. She never imagined they would one day become the reason someone survived. As she carried drinks through the ballroom that afternoon, something caught her attention. One of the newly hired waiters looked wrong. At first glance, everything seemed normal. He wore the same uniform as everyone else. But when she looked more carefully, little things didn't match. His shoes were different from every other employee's. His name tag sat slightly crooked. He also seemed uncomfortable carrying trays, almost as if he wasn't used to serving guests. Then she noticed something even stranger. He wasn't serving anyone. While the other waiters moved from table to table, smiling and taking care of guests, this man kept finding excuses to stay close to Adrian's table. But he wasn't watching the billionaire. He was watching the security guards. His eyes kept moving from one security officer to another, carefully studying where they stood and how they moved around the room. Hannah slowed down as she walked past him. A few seconds later, another waiter accidentally bumped into him. His jacket opened just enough for Hannah to catch a quick glimpse underneath. For only a split second, she thought she saw the outline of something hidden beneath his jacket. It looked like a weapon. Her stomach tightened. Maybe she was wrong. Maybe it was just a phone or some other object. She didn't want to accuse an innocent person. Taking a deep breath, Hannah quietly walked over to the banquet supervisor. She politely explained everything she had noticed. The supervisor barely looked up. "We hired dozens of temporary workers for today's event," he said. "You're probably overthinking it." Then he added with a tired smile, "This luncheon is too important. Please don't create unnecessary panic." Hannah nodded politely. But something inside her refused to settle. She looked back across the ballroom. The unfamiliar waiter had moved even closer to Adrian. Her pulse quickened. Time was running out. She wanted to warn security herself, but she knew that if she suddenly pointed at the man or shouted across the room, panic would spread instantly. Hundreds of guests could be hurt if people started running. She needed another way. Something quiet. Something only Adrian would understand. She quickly picked up a clean white linen napkin. With a pen from her apron pocket, she wrote the shortest warning she could think of. Listen. Fake waiter. Armed. Left side. She folded the napkin once. Then she took a deep breath. Keeping her face calm, she walked toward Adrian's table carrying a pitcher of water. She smiled politely as she reached him. Without saying a word, she refilled his glass. As she placed it back on the table, she gently slipped the folded napkin beneath his hand. Then she walked away as if nothing unusual had happened. Adrian continued talking with the guests sitting beside him. A few seconds later, he unfolded the napkin. He read the message once. Then he read it again. Not a single expression changed on his face. Years of leading billion-dollar companies had taught him one important lesson. Panic usually creates more danger than the problem itself. Without looking toward the suspicious waiter, Adrian quietly thanked Hannah for the water and continued his conversation as though everything was perfectly normal. Hidden beneath the sleeve of his suit was a luxury wristwatch. With one gentle movement of his thumb, he pressed a small emergency button built into the watch. The silent signal went directly to his personal security team. No alarm sounded. No guest noticed. The race against time had quietly begun. While the guests continued enjoying their lunch, Adrian's security team quietly moved into position. Dressed like ordinary guests, they slowly spread across the ballroom without attracting attention. One of the officers calmly walked toward the suspicious waiter. With a friendly smile, he said, "Could you give us a hand in the kitchen for a moment?" The man froze. For 1 second, he looked around the room. Then he suddenly turned and ran. The security officers reacted immediately. Within seconds, they tackled him to the floor before anyone nearby even realized what was happening. People looked up from their tables in confusion. The musicians stopped playing. Police officers who had been waiting outside rushed into the ballroom and took control of the situation. It was all over in less than a minute. No one was hurt. No one panicked. Most of the guests didn't even understand how close they had come to disaster. After the suspect was taken away, investigators searched him carefully. They discovered that he had entered the hotel using a stolen catering employee ID. He had been pretending to work as one of the waiters so he could get close to Adrian without raising suspicion. His real motive was still under investigation, but one thing was clear. If Hannah hadn't noticed those small details, things could have ended very differently. A few hours later, the police confirmed that the ballroom was completely safe. The charity event continued, and the partnership was officially announced. Hundreds of rural communities would finally receive electricity. But Adrian couldn't stop thinking about the young waitress who had saved far more than a business celebration. When the event finally ended, he quietly asked someone to help him find Hannah. He found her in the dining hall, clearing tables as if it had been an ordinary day. The empty glasses disappeared into her tray one by one. She looked up and smiled politely. "I'm sorry if I caused trouble today," she said softly. Adrian smiled. "You didn't cause trouble. You prevented it." Hannah looked down. "I wasn't even sure I was right. You trusted your instincts. That made all the difference." He paused before asking another question. "How did you notice something that trained professionals missed?" Hannah smiled gently. "My father taught me." She told Adrian about her father's years as a police detective. She explained how he trained her to notice small things most people ignored. The shoes didn't match. The name tag wasn't straight. He kept watching security instead of serving guests. She laughed quietly. "I almost ignored it. I kept telling myself I was probably imagining things." "So why didn't you?" She looked at the floor for a moment. "Because my father always said that it's better to be embarrassed for speaking up than to regret staying silent." Adrian nodded slowly. "Your father is a wise man." A few weeks later, Adrian invited Hannah and her father to visit the headquarters of his company. They spent hours talking. During their conversation, Adrian learned something that deeply touched him. Hannah had always dreamed of studying criminal justice. She wanted to help protect people, just like her father had. But those dreams came to an end when her mother became seriously ill. Every bit of money the family had was spent on hospital bills and medical treatment. College became impossible. Instead, Hannah started working as a waitress to support her family. Adrian sat quietly for a long moment. Then he made a decision. He didn't offer Hannah money. He didn't believe in giving charity that took away someone's dignity. Instead, he created a new scholarship program. It would help students who wanted to build careers in public safety, emergency response, and community service. Hannah became the very first student to receive it. She finally went to university. She studied hard, graduated with honors, and later joined a community safety organization. There, she began training hotel and restaurant workers to recognize suspicious behavior, stay calm during emergencies, and report concerns without causing unnecessary panic. Her workshop spread across the country. Thousands of hospitality workers attended them. Many later said her training helped them prevent dangerous situations before anyone got hurt. Every graduation ceremony ended the same way. Adrian was often invited as the guest speaker. People praised Hannah for her courage. But she always smiled and gave credit to someone else. "My father taught me to pay attention," she would say. "And one simple lesson changed my life." Then she would look at the audience and add, "Heroes don't always wear uniforms. Sometimes they wear aprons. Sometimes they carry serving trays. And sometimes they simply refuse to ignore something that doesn't feel right." Before this story comes to an end, we'd love to hear from you. Have you ever trusted your instincts and prevented something from going wrong? Share your experience in the comments below. Your story might encourage someone else to speak up when they notice something unusual. Several years later, sunlight once again filled the ballroom during Adrian's annual charity luncheon. This time, Hannah wasn't serving tables. She stood proudly near the entrance, watching a new generation of hospitality workers confidently doing their jobs while using the awareness skills she had taught them. Across the room, Adrian smiled. He realized that the most important message ever delivered at one of his events had never been written in a business contract. It had never been spoken from a stage. It had been written on a simple napkin by a young waitress whose courage proved that one small action could save countless lives. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories. And always remember, real courage is often quiet. Sometimes, the smallest warning given at exactly the right moment can change everything.